totally different game. Again, when we saw SKT run Lulu, it was Lululution, it was frontline AD carry, and that's where the suite of speed-ups, shields, and ultimate provided from Lulu are best used. There was a scenario where you get the Ravenous Flock ulting Swain into the backline and pop him up, but how many times do we see that in that game? 0 times, because instead, they were picked out, they were too aggressive, they never actually set up the teleport flanks that the comp could provide, and didn't have the backup synergy of frontline their AD carry because it's Jhin, a champion who wants to be in the backline, and they were kind of caught in 2 minds 3 times, and then the game was over.
Yep. Well, it's going to be similar bans, as we can see. LeBlanc and Nidalee from the side of SK Telecom. Final ban will be Vladimir, so they're not looking to play it for themselves, just take it away. And then Karma and Sivir on the side of Jin Air. Question is, do they want to ban the Azir? Because that still could be a first pick snatch up for SK
But what about that little Ryze pick, Helios?
There is a Ryze, that's a good point. So this is actually Jin Air in a pretty rough spot. Which do you ban?
You ban Ryze.
I think you ban Ryze.
And they ban the Fiora, so they're going to choose to take one away.
Okay, so I see you, Jin Air, playing all sneaky, trying to net themselves something. SKT will take the Ryze, so this should just be the Azir going over to Jin Air.
And now, if you're a stats buff, you start to get worried if you're a Jin Air fan, because in his career, his 4th most played is Ryze. 18 games, he is 15-3 on Ryze. And his Ryze play is the stuff of nightmares. Whatever the meta, whatever the numbers, he blows people up with Ryze, and 20 damage off his Q, and a bit of extra cooldown in his ult will not change things for Faker.
Yeah, that's a pretty good stat to have. Kuzan will be taking Azir, and we can see Winged after a pretty good performance on the Elise is just going to be comfortable to snatch that one up for himself. So the question is, will we see Ryze in mid or in top lane?
You can understand why Jin Air went for this Fiora ban. It's a bit of a filler ban, but basically their thought process was, if they first pick Azir and we ban Ryze, LeBlanc is gone, but most of our great choices against the Azir are gone and would have to play a Varus comp, and that's been the exact comp SKT has left up and then exploited in multiple games this season already. So they went for trading the OPs, and SKT end up with Ryze out of it. That could be explosive. We're waiting for the draft to really come through from here. I mean, the Nami and the Rek'Sai were certainly not problems from SKT, but they were parts of the losing lineup in Game 1.
I still feel like instead of banning the Fiora, maybe ban that Rek'Sai, put Bengi on the Kindred, which we've only seen him play a couple times, and that was on 6.10. So now with the nerfs, maybe it wouldn't go as well. But they opt to go for the Fiora instead, trying to cripple Duke's champion pool a little bit. It will be the Ezreal for Bang, as well as Nami yet again for Wolf, so keeping that pretty consistent. Now Pilot, thinking about piloting the Jhin. They will lock it in with the Alistar in the bot lane.
So interesting to see the Jhin takeaway pick. Jhin was caught out multiple times. Again, the comp didn't really play to his strengths, and just the disordered play that SKT had just made the Jhin pick look even worse than it usually... I mean, honestly, it's been pretty outstanding this season, but it really played to the weaknesses of the Jhin. Waiting to see if SKT can actually get some beef. They want a strong front line against this Jhin pick. Waiting to see them settle on ostensibly a top lane and a jungle pick. Is an outside chance that we see the Ryze top, but I think it's pretty unlikely.
Well, it's going to be Gragas locked in and a Trundle. So it will be Trundle top with the Gragas in the jungle for Bengi.
They go for insta-lock on the Gnar as a last pick. So Trace will return to the Gnar that he's had very polarizing performances on. I've seen him routinely lose Maokai versus Gnar matchups as the Gnar and win the Maokai side of the matchup. So his Gnar play has never really inspired confidence. SKT pivoted. They were going to just lock in Rek'Sai, but the moment they saw Jhin, they jumped to the Gragas. It's a very long-range ultimate to interrupt the curtain call. Trundle also can pillar to interrupt the curtain call, so they picked 2 champions. Trundle was probably always coming in, but it's definitely a pivot from Rek'Sai to Gragas to have an extra answer for the Jhin.
Well, we know Duke's Trundle, and we know how good it is. Going up against this Gnar could be a little bit interesting, because we don't see him a whole lot these days. Every now and then he comes out of left field, but Trace will be going back to that pickup and has to stop Duke early on, because if he gets a lead, he is going to absolutely steamroll everybody in that top side of the map.
Really interesting and really a treat to see Faker's Ryze on 6-11. Will the nerfs have any change? I predict no, but
he's still going to be really strong. As strong as before? No, but still really strong.
Will be double teleport once again that SKT honestly mismanaged in the first game and never really got to the point where it was relevant. They just, after the first dive, couldn't set up for a split push. So let's see if they can be a bit more disciplined with the 1-3-1 in game 2.
Gonna have to be careful though. Kuzan is running that exhaust on Azir in the mid side, so can deny a lot of that damage that's already been nerfed by Ryze. But let's go ahead and see what happens. SKT down a game. Jin Air looking to beat them for the first time in a matchup. Let's get into game 2. And hooray, it's a Cloud Drake.
All right, we can calm down on the Drakes, I guess.
Let's see. When do you think we're going to see that taken? I'm going to go with 14 minutes.
The early level ones really can open up some early Drake takes, so I don't like to make predictions based on that. Some teams, they just leave up the Cloud Drake like, I don't even want to get my hands dirty on this. Other teams would be like, if I kill it, maybe there'll be a better one.
Yeah.
So, glass half full, glass half empty, depending on how you're feeling on the day. And there's some fan signs.
Oh boy.
That still seems pretty expensive for Tyler 1.
I wouldn't pay nothing for him. No context, that sounds like a just very disjointed sentence.
Keystones are very normal.
Yeah, nothing too shocking coming through.
Now some Jhin, specifically Arrow, and I believe yesterday we saw this, there have been people picking up Thunderlords on Jhin just for a bit more laning phase oomph, and if you're going to be stacking armor penetration and looking for a mid-game spike, you can understand going for the early to mid-game summoner spell, but much more late-game damage in the Deathfire touches. SKT are spotted on this invade.
Yep, both of those wards placed relatively at the same time. They're just going to be looking for vision, not for harassment.
With that ward, it actually becomes pretty risky to be able to walk through this brush, although Ezreal, I guess, with an over 1,000 range check makes it a bit safer, so we will see the Oceanic meta come through, as the bot lane will be on the top side.
For a second, I was like, where are you going? Oh, okay, because it's upside down.
Monty mentioned it yesterday,
I
so
understand
I thought, you know,
now.
gotta give those little shout-outs.
God, I'm glad that that's done with Reddit. I remember every time it was late in North America, all the posts would just be pictures.
Oh, do you remember when there was a bot that was like Australian bot and it would just repeat people's sentences inverted? They just flipped the text. You couldn't read it. It's hilarious. Wow, Pilot's taking so much chip damage trying to push, and then a couple of Qs from Bang is already below half, has to pop his potion despite the fact that he entered lane first. This is actually a real big problem. Bang has always been razor sharp at hitting those Qs.
Well, speaking of damage, Faker taking a bunch in this mid side as well. Does have the refillable potion, but he's already using one of those charges to try to get himself back up. Chei, not sure what he's taken first. I would guess it's been the Pulverize.
He actually hasn't taken a spell yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's holding on to it. Yeah, I just saw the...
Usually if you're trying to push quickly, you take Triumphant Roar for the AoE, but that forces you to only have at level 3 your trio of abilities that really make Alistar relevant. At level 1, really doesn't do anything.
Yep. See, they're just getting shoved back away from the experience here.
And people might be like, why hasn't he taken Triumphant Roar? But then he only can have combo at level 3, and you get severely punished for that. So he's basically not skilling unless he needs to headbutt away. Would really prefer to skill W and Q as early as possible.
It's a bit of a catch-22 situation to be in.
Also, the sustain is laughably little at level 1, so...
Yeah, it's been nerfed significantly in the past since last split. So not going to be nearly as strong. See though, Faker, despite getting bullied out, is keeping up in CS. 23 ball in that mid lane, started with the Sapphire Crystal.
So in terms of game plan early, one of the big things SKT will do, and this won't come as a surprise, is try to set up the Trundle. Now, Gnar versus Trundle, Gnar desperately wants to rush a Black Cleaver as early as possible and just try to demolish Trundle in lane as a dominant laning matchup against the Trundle. But if you get a couple of ganks set Trundle and basically didn't achieve anything, you really desperately want to have a clean early laning phase and farm up a Black Cleaver and just try to deny Trundle good options. If he's always at low health, he can't look to counter teleport or make map plays, and that's why if Bengi can play around this bot lane, he brings out a lot of advantages for SKT. Because Gnar ahead is fearsome, but Gnar behind is often not even able to team.
You can see so far, Only one of those corrupting potion charges having to be used by Duke, so Trey's not able to lay down a good enough amount of harass to warrant spending those charges.
Ooh, Bang gets outthought. He actually fully channeled his recall, expecting Jin Air to have gone back, and now Jin Air get to push out. So they timed that recall well. Now Wolf's overextended.
Yeah, he's going to get rooted, takes a bunch of damage. Still has the ebb and flow there to keep himself sustained up, so he's not going to be too terribly punished, but this does open up for a good amount of CS denial here from the side of Jin Air, as Bang is still just passing the tier 2 tower.
There was no way that Bang would have recalled if he had any vision of Jin Air's duo, but they were just out of range, and they waited exactly the amount of seconds that recall would take to channel. So good job by them. Trace is a little bit behind in experience, so has to cede some lane control over to Duke.
Opted to go for Swifties first. Staying on the Gnar.
One of those things where obviously Swiftness boots against the Trundle pillar gives you more guaranteed movement speed. Gnar is one of the safe picks because you can just hop over the Trundle pillar. But it's one of those things where if you build for lane and then get ganked, you could be really held back. So Swiftness boots gives him some offensive options to get those extra auto attacks and W procs off, but it's not quite the rush to Black Cleaver that he would have optimistically liked to build.
Well, knowing Duke in that Trundle, you have to know that he's going to be skillful enough to deny the leap with the pillar. Just wait until the Gnar tries to leap away and then place it, stop that. See recalls coming through from both of our mid laners. Just going to be the Stinger plus an Amp Tome pickup for Kuzan. And then double stacking here for Faker as he picks up the Catalyst of Aeons and the Tear of the Goddess. So it's just standard stuff.
It's definitely one of those games where Winged doesn't want to go for too many ganks because they have that one less teleport. In this case, the only teleport available is Faker's, and Ryze, if he shows up behind you, has the guaranteed CC, take you down, so you are very narrow on your pathing. There's a nice little steal from Bengi.
That was pretty good. Winged had Smite too.
But Winged is very much on counter gank duty this game.
Yeah, just did not respond fast enough to even just auto attack those Krugs one more time. Trace finally starting to get a little bit in this bottom side. Duke uses the ultimate to try to dissuade him from going in, and Bengi is just having a field day in the enemy jungle right now.
He's on the Gragas for the first time in a while, and he's doing his best Nunu impression, stealing away every camp under the nose of the enemy jungle. Bengi Nunu, please.
Yep. Oh, I would love for that to happen again.
They call this guy the jungle, and it's for reasons like this. He can be oppressive in denying. This forces Winged to look for aggressive invades for camps, but for now, Faker's actually rotated to support his jungler, so will be an answering camp for Winged.
My favorite Bengi moment is when he snuck between the Kalista Sentinels in the jungle. That was just one of the best moments that one of my best memories of watching competitive League of Legends.
Full Metal Bengi?
Yep.
Good times.
Pretty good. You mentioned it now, I remember the new Kojima game that we just got teased with. It's so weird.
I mean, it was so Kojima.
It's so Kojima.
You're just like, yep, that's what happens when he doesn't have to make a Metal Gear Solid game. Not even shackled to the premise of that game, which was a lot of crazy stuff anyway.
He's going full acid now. The whales of umbilical cords that lead into the ocean, the baby turns into oil.
Hey, are you interested in finding out more?
Oh yeah.
Successful teaser.
Oh, absolutely. And Norman Reedus is in the game.
Yep.
Holding his Norman fetus.
I don't know about that one. I remember the name, but it's some quality English.
He's been really, I mean, I wonder how they got that relationship established, because he was set to do that PT game with them, but, or the, no, what am I talking about, the Silent Hill game.
For the turret dive, 4 members top from SKT.
Okay, well, Faker's going to go ahead and pop the ultimate, go straight on to Chei. Hammering out the damage, he's going to go down, not level 6 yet for the Alistar. Bengi's taking a hell of a lot, though, will fall. They get Pilot in the end, so it's 2 for 1, but Bengi sticking around in there a little bit too late.
And Azir, with his nerfs, can't really damage turrets in any way near the manner he could before, and actually wasn't even able to push up the minion wave to deny anything. So Faker, he won't necessarily get a free back, but it's not as bad as you might have expected. It's just going to be that one minion wave crashing on his turret. And even though it ends up just being a 2 for 1, it could have been better, it could have been cleaner. Elise was in base when this happened, so no way for Jin Air to punish on the other side of the map. So just extra advantages over to SKT. We're going to see the turret dive. Level 5 is crucially the story here, so even though heal was still available, Not quite level 6. I guess Bengi accepts his fate at that point.
Yeah. Says, whatever. I've done my job. Plays for the team.
We'll see
Now,
Jin Air
speaking of
swapping back to bot lane.
Yep. And Chei running forward in a precarious spot. The bubble does connect, but no one going to follow up on that one. I was going to say, speaking of PT and Silent Hill, new Resident Evil 7 looks exactly like both of those games.
It's first person, or at least it seems to be suggested to, and it's in VR, so that's at least something different.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's a pick.
Third call comes through. Bengi going to use the flash and body slam. Will get himself to safety and has the move speed increase with the skull crab.
So you've been watching your E3 streams, is what I'm learning from your downtime talk here.
A little bit. Just a little bit. There's a couple ones that caught my eye, but I gotta say, biggest thing that really got me excited is Breath of the Wild, the new Legend of Zelda game.
Be a good one, that's for sure. Going different. Everyone's going open world these days. Where's my League of Legends open world game?
You don't get that.
Oh.
You get.
I need more rune. I need more lore.
You get Nexus Siege mode. That's what you get, Papa Smithy.
I don't play any of those modes, though.
Yeah.
I only play the ranked mode. And I'm a bit sad about the ranked mode also.
I was gonna say, which ranked mode do you play? The one that's dead or the one that's very much...
I dynamically queue on my own, okay?
Well, I'm sorry. Trace, though, going up here has to blow the flash. Bengi does have the casket, knocks him into the tower, however, so he will not get in range. And he will stay safe, but flash down now on that Gnar.
Yeah, worth noting that the remnants of the turret do count as permanent terrain, so it will not be bounced over and into the oncoming arms of your enemy top laner. So safety there in the turret for Trace.
Oh, Pilot gets hit by that bubble, takes a smattering of damage from Bang.
This will still be the Black Cleaver rush from Trace. You can tell from his items, even though there's no phage yet. It's going to be significantly delayed. First item not looking likely till about 18 to 20 minutes into the game. And laning phase might be over, or it might be too risky to split push at that point. That we may not actually see the ascendancy for the Gnar in this matchup as expected.
Chei taking a hell of a lot. That's going to be the tidal wave coming through. Flashes away from the true shot barrage. He will stay alive, but again, playing very risky here is Chei. Kuzan going in onto Faker. Has those Sand Soldiers down, but he's taking a hell of a lot of damage. Exhaust just now coming out and Winged arriving too late. He will have to back off. Faker is still looking like he wants to play forward, but is going to think better of it.
Kuzan was really late on the exhaust. I guess he was trying to force Faker to overextend as Elise was coming in, but in the end, he does trade his exhaust for his life because Faker doesn't use a summoner on the whole side, so neither was wholehearted in their attempts to kill the other, and the end result is a summoner down for Kuzan.
And more minions denied here by Faker as he starts to a little bit of a lead. He will be able to recall. TP is getting ready to come back up. We'll see. Yep, he's nearing that Archangels. His tiers got to be pretty decently stacked now, probably about a little past the halfway point. Maybe.
Ever since being chunked out of Kilios, you can see the real story in the CS numbers of the bot lane. 50 CS plus advantage in the duo is something we almost never see because of the litany of lane swaps, because of the save 80 carry picks, but Alistar's laning phase is a lot weaker than it once was. Even at level 6, you don't have quite the same pressure walking up, and Pilot needs someone to be able to walk up on his side. It's not the Alistar, and thus really big CS advantage for Bangs. That 2-item power spike from the Ezreal is going to be online even earlier than usual.
Yep.
And this is with Pilot going his trademark Mana Moon first, which has less presence than the Sheen into Iceborne Gauntlet first. So in multiple different ways with a greedier stacking build, advantage SKT in the 2v2.
Very much so. Things slowed down a little bit here. SK Telecom just sitting with a little bit of a gold lead at the moment. Faker, the engage shot gets hit up by that headbutt pulverize. Nothing you can do. Kuzan finishes him off. And just a bit too far forward for having absolutely no vision on your flank.
And that's the thing, you say a bit, definitely far too far with literally no vision shallow around the mid lane turrets. It's going to be good autos from Jin Air. Yeah, even with the ult helping, they're going to get this very low.
Well, they throw out the cask and get rid of the majority of those minions. See Jin Air just whittling away on that one. Would have been able to take it if the Azir still had the Ryze passive. Does not have it this time around, so.
Pilot needs to be careful. He's 2 levels under.
Oh yeah, the TP's coming through. Chei's coming around the side. Looks like he will stay safe, and Faker's just not going to be able to do anything.
Yomu's Ghostblade and Boots meant that he would be able to get away one way or the other, but now Bang gets free time on this turret. Let's see if SKT can keep the pressure up and actually get an objective after denying mid lane turret to Jin Air.
It's like a half objective.
Obviously, out of bot lane turret will probably be the priority over the Cloud Drake, but they're going to take a free Drake when they can.
Well, I was off by a minute. I said 14, it's 15, so I was close, I suppose. We'll see what it's going to be next. Is it another Cloud Drake? It's another Cloud Drake. All right.
Love me a Clown Fiesta. I'm sorry, a Cloud Fiesta.
A Cloud Fiesta. Well, should not play Craps at the Casino tonight because the RNG is just not rolling well.
I mean, game one was pretty good RNG.
That was pretty good. Triple Mountain into Infernal. Oh, Bang gonna get caught up. Gets rooted down by the W, throwing out the curtain call shots. Gonna land 2 of them. Flashes away from that last. Keeps himself safe, but that's double summoners down now.
Frozen Mallet from Trace.
Yeah, he can hound onto Duke here. You can see he goes back for the jump. Faker now arriving. Trace will flash away. Not sure if that was all necessary, but wants to play it safe.
We saw what profit Chei got from a respect flash in game 1, and it was one of those respect flashes from Trace that maybe his old man mechanics aren't quite up to the young'uns, so ended up looking a bit foolish with that one.
You have to make this an age thing, huh?
Yep. It's a storyline. He's old.
He's very old.
High pro gamer status, of course. Younger than every caster barring you, Achilles.
Yep, he's very old. Which means that Doa is just like the ancient one.
That's why we sent him to America.
Yeah.
A fountain of youth.
I don't know if that's true. Have you seen old Korean people? They're in pretty good shape. I think this is the fountain of youth.
It's fair. Something in the kimchi.
Must be.
So I remarked on it. Frozen Mallet first. There are definitely matchups where Frozen Mallet has always been great on Gnar. Obviously against Hecarim famously, you dealt with his passive, and in general when he didn't run Flash, there's no way for him to get out. I think it's optimistic. Boots of Swiftness was already taken on Duke. One of the reasons you go for Frozen Mallet over the Black Cleaver is a slightly more defensive, offensive item, if you know what I mean. Black Cleaver's all in on killing the enemy, and a little bit more health coming through from the Frozen Mallet. Health is a pretty good stat on Gnar because he gets so many free resists in Mega Gnar form, so situationally can still be very tanky despite going for this Frozen Mallet, but just won't be cutting through a Trundle like you would with Black Cleaver.
Yeah.
And at some point when you're chasing him down over the course of the extended top lane, you have to think eventually the safety won't be there, you'll have to back away, much less likely to secure a kill if you go for Frozen Mallet.
Well, so far it's been working out pretty well for Trace, who has a fairly significant gold lead up in that top side.
Yeah, they've swapped
winged. He's got to find Bengi and Wolf here in the jungle. They get the bubble. Bang on the way, trying to get the damage to flash away. The tidal wave will knock him up. Can they stick to him? The cast can go wide as he propels up into the air. Nowhere to go, however, and Wolf is going to find the kills. Not exactly where you want that one to go, but still a kill pickup for SK Telecom. But can they do anything with it? Looks like they will go for the Rift Herald. So not the best of objectives to pick up, but not much else available.
But it was just smart. SKT employed the buddy system, got the catch onto Winged in his own jungle, took him down. Smart of Azir not to try and get in there with the ultimate. Ryze was walking up, would have been a 4v2, would have been 2 kills over, so just a single kill and the Rift Herald, which actually will be put on to Bang, interestingly. Trying to keep up the lead. Leads have been traded. Top lane, the advantage is there for Jin Air, although it is closing as Trace starts to exit the lane, and the advantage squarely with Ezreal in the 2v2.
Oh, Chei goes in for the headbutt, but a nice E away from Bang will keep him safe.
And interestingly, Trace is going for all the hammers. He's going to be going for the Black Cleaver and the Frozen Mallet, so that's a very offensive build, and will be situationally super squishy in Mini Gnar form. No armor or magic resist to speak of.
Yeah, super squishy already, and you're going up against a Trundle with Subjugate. Wing, though, getting caught out by that root from Faker, who's taking a hell of a lot of damage from Kuzan, but Kuzan goes way too far forward, takes the turret shots, and goes down. Bengi finding the kill. Trace on the run, already uses the hop, gets caught up by the bubble, has to use that Gnar ultimate to knock him back, but Faker goes into the flash, roots him down, and takes him out. That's Trace going down at 2 for 0 so far. Curtain call popped. Bengi taking a couple of those shots, but Wolf is going to body block the rest. And SKT, Baker's not even done yet. Walks in onto Pilot. The bubble won't connect, so they won't continue the chase. But 2 kills picked up there for SK Telecom, and a hell of a lot of damage about to come through onto this turret.
They didn't even have to invest all their members. Bang never left top lane. It's just Kuzan being far too far overextended. Even with Flash, didn't find a time to use it. Only managed to get the Emperor's Divide out as he died. That honestly, not quite as stark as the failed turret dive in game 1, but this is Jin Air this time, and Kuzan going in too aggressive, taking the E, getting caught by Bengi coming over. They had vision of that brush, but didn't play around it. And then Trace gave his life because of the overextension from Kuzan in much the same way that Bengi did because of the overextension of Faker in game 1.
Yep. See Faker, flash in front of the tower, you're fine. Flash beyond the tower, not fine. They come up and make a huge play there and finally get a pretty solid gold lead at 4,021 minutes. Bang gonna try to steal away the red. Does he get it? No, he does not.
Small thing I want to cover is coming back to the build from Trace. Health is the big stat, this big defensive stat in both Frozen Mallet and the Black Cleaver. Actually, no, it's not. Is it still health? Black Cleaver?
Yeah.
It still is.
It has a phage.
Yes, you're correct. So it still has the health from the phage. And the reason why that's relevant is that Trundle shreds armor and magic resist. Sure, does a little bit of damage based on health, but in general, the idea is that he won't be able to steal away the health stats quite as cleanly as the armor and magic resist. So still, in Mega Gnar will have some semblance of tankiness, plus the offensive capability to chase down the Trundle in the top lane.
Yeah. Well, Duke's resting on that Frozen Heart at the Glacial Shroud rather, so it could be a Frozen Heart or the Iceborne Gauntlet. Probably going to be the latter. Match the chase potential of Trace with the Frozen Mallet.
There's actually been a shift towards the Frozen Heart increasingly on top lanes, and he's against Azir, Gnar, and to a lesser extent Jhin, so I think Frozen Heart probably going to be the pickup here.
Could be. We'll see where he wants to go. The Ruby Crystal in his inventory not really telling much for us. I said Frozen Mallet, I meant to say Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yes.
That's where my brain was going. Finally, okay, we break the curse of the Cloud Drakes and we get Infernal for our third.
Let's make it fiery, Achilles.
But I mean, hey, double Cloud Drake, Faker's gonna go fast.
I mean, it is relevant in that he's out of combat till he hits the root, and then from then on, probably doesn't need the 30 movement speed anymore.
He'll get from bot to mid in like a second and a half faster now.
Yeah. Rotations. Jin Air kind of licking their wounds. They're almost 5,000 gold behind.
Bang is almost Flame Horizoning Pilot.
And this all from Jin Air getting to lane phase first, but getting poked out so severely that the potion had to come down. Chei held onto his point, so he didn't have heal to stop a scenario like this, and this further extended. Jin Air have been giving their empty farm, A-lane farm, mostly to Trace and Kuzan, which means that Pilot on a mid-game snowball build is behind, which lets you know that the late game isn't going to really be any solace until everyone is at 6-item territory.
But look how far behind he is. He's level 10 to Bang's 13. Has the Yomu's Ghostblade and a Dirk. Bang is almost 3 items completed. The Blade of the Rune King just a couple hundred away from being completed at this moment. Pilot is not in a good spot right now. And unless they can hold out like Jin Air loves to do, they probably aren't going to come away with a win.
And awkwardly, if it is to be either the More Malmortius or the Duskblade as a second item for Pilot, those have been the 2 favorites recently that build out the Serrated Dirk.
Yeah.
The big issue is going to be that a Chain Vest from the Gragas and soon to be an armor item by Trundle basically answers what is supposed to be mid-game power. This build should already be online at this point or slightly earlier, and it being delayed means there's very quick, cheap answers to stop Pilot from being relevant to much later in the game.
Yep. See, they do have that Aegis on wing, so trying to deny some of this damage from Bengi and Faker. But not going to be doing a whole lot until they can get the Locket. You can see that Tier 1 mid does go down. Faker sticking around on the top side, looking to pressure out that Tier 2 as the rest of SK Telecom, Sun's Duke are just grouped up in this mid lane.
Feels like the late game is in the advantage of SKT as well. Ryze, Ezreal, and the Trundle should be able to do work. So buying time for Pilot to get these items I don't think behooves Jin Air, but what other option do they really have?
Yeah.
Pilot of all AD carries has the largest share of gold post 15 minutes. Jin Air, despite the fact that he doesn't put a lot of damage, give Pilot a lot of resources. This has been one of the few games where he has been the one held behind, and other members of Jin Air have actually been able to pick up the farm.
Yep. Well, Faker, his build really starting to come online, has that Void Staff. Seraph's Embrace is fully stacked up, so he's going to be hammering out the spells. Meanwhile, it's just the Ryze, Crystal Scepter, and the Nashor's Tooth for the side of Kuzan, so a full item behind as well is this Azir.
5,000, 6,000 gold between the two teams has been spent on such power. And now Trace finds himself with this Frozen Mallet Black Cleaver build that has a lot of power to it. It's just, you'd see that from SKT. You just don't open up a scenario for there to be a 1v1. You have two players with teleport, and you have this Faker.
Yeah, goes in, does get stunned up by the Gnar, but look at that. Already whittles him down to half HP. Just no resistances outside of health.
While that build might shred Duke, it's certainly going to do nothing to Faker. He'll laugh at your lack of magic resist and take you down in 2 spell rotations. So Jin Air now find the map even more narrow with only a single teleport, and now not being able to enter lane against Faker.
Yep. He's also got that fat shield coming through from the Seraph, so even if you can whittle him down, it's like, well, you still have a hell of a lot more to do. See Bengi pushing it really aggressively over this red buff. 4 members of Jin Air are here. Faker's still down on the bottom side, able to get the tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, Bang's splitting in the mid. Wonderful split pushing coming through from SK Telecom.
Just playing around their leads.
One more hit.
So well. The lane assignments have been traditionally great for SKT.
Yep, Duke gets top.
Faker answers all the gold on the Gnar by just stopping the Gnar from having any lane presence. Duke powers down turrets, Ezreal powers down turrets. Jhin just walks between mid and top lane, hoping for some CS, hoping to open up with an ult. And look at Faker, just keeps going.
Yep. That's going to be all of the tier 2s taken away here by SK Telecom as they're looking at a near 10,000 gold lead. Faker as well, getting some damage in onto the bottom side. And they are just commanding the map at the moment. A minute left until the Infernal Drake comes up. Baron not yet been really paid much attention to by SK Telecom, but looks like they're going to go ahead and make me eat my words as the TP comes through from Faker and they go straight onto this.
They have so much Baron damage at this point. Bang will switch off. Jin Air looking for the contest.
Well, they have this down below half HP. Do they stick or do they back off? Trace over the wall is going to be the current call coming out, so they decide to just go ahead and disengage. Bengi going to take a couple of these shots. Fourth one going to go wide, and SKT do get dissuaded off of that Baron. But they've still taken so much on the map and can just go back and get ready for that dragon, which spawns in 25 seconds.
SKT smartly realized the only way they can lose this game is through making a big misplay around an objective like Baron. They are winning in every other facet. They have good lane assignments, they have earlier power spikes, they have so much extra gold on their carries. Ezreal, Bang is 4,000 gold ahead of Pilot, and there are gold leads in every other lane, including the Trundle versus Gnar matchup. So don't go and overforce around Baron, just look for the peel. That's the much higher percentage play from SKT.
2,000 gold lead as well for Faker over Kuzan. You can see Faker going to go ahead, hit the go button.
Wants to run a
Bang
Pilot.
is slowing him up, jumps onto Pilot. He's going to be made quick work of. Still gets taken down by Bang as he flashes over the wall. Chei going to fall as well. Faker finding that kill, and Bang and Wolf still hot on the heels of Winged and Kuzan, with Duke coming around the backside trying to get on the Trace. Just jump over towards that Krug pit. See the True Shot Barrage comes out, does connect on the both of them. The bubble going to go wide. Wolf taking a bit of damage, but Bang goes super aggressive. Emperor's Divide comes out, but no one can capitalize on top of it. They take out Kuzan. It's Winged and Trace running for the hills, but I don't think they're going to make it very far. Flash forward by Duke, trying to get onto this Gnar, but here comes Faker from the side. Root comes through, he flashes away. Doesn't matter, he goes down. That's going to be SKT picking up an inhibitor at least.
And this is the SKT we saw 10 times on the Rift before game 1. And you wonder, why do they have to get cute with the Lulu pick? Why can't they just play the way they usually do? Go for the power, go for the Anivia. I think that game would have been very reminiscent of this one, but
Duke just chopped the tower.
Very, very close to what is going to be a 1-1 series between SKT and Jin Air. But you wonder what if not for getting cute with the Lulu.
Yep. Well, 3 members still dead, Winged being one of them. This Baron is going to go over to SK Telecom. Duke still splitting up that bottom side. Don't think he's going to go in for that turret as everybody is now respawning. But the Inhibitor Drake could very well be the next pickup here for SK Telecom, which would really help them solidify this win. Because currently they are 14,000 gold in the lead.
Everyone at minimum is an item ahead of their lane opponent, and some people, looking at you, Bang, are multiple items ahead of their opponent. It's only just the second item from...
double item!
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. He's 100 CS ahead against Mord Mahmoud. It's the most defensive of Straight Dirk choices, and the Youmu's Ghostblade. The mid-game power spike, very well missed from Pilot. Just looks a bit sad in comparison to his opposite number.
My solo queue heart goes out to you, Pilot.
Let's be real, you'd be raging at him. Come on now.
Man. That is a rough spot to be in. I mean, even Kuzan is pretty much in the same boat. You can see he's just now trying to get that Void Staff completed. Faker's already got the Guardian Angel with another needlessly large rod, so looking for that Rabbidan's death cap. And with this turret being as low as it is and Baron-empowered minions, SK Telecom are going to be very comfortable to push their way in and take down this inhibitor. So it will be the first of the game at the 31-minute mark, just about. SKT are looking pretty poised to close this one out in the next few minutes.
You just take a step back. We're only 2 kills away from a perfect game for SKT. No turrets, no dragons for Jin Air.
Very true. You can see they're going to go in, find Chei. He already pops that ultimate. Tidal Wave comes through, will pop up Trace and Kuzan. Bubble going to go a little bit wide as Chei jukes it out. But now that's going to be 2 inhibitors following the bot and mid. They still have these waves crashing in. They could just stick around, try to whittle them down with Bang, and get onto these Nexus turrets. Looks like the ping's going to come out, and we're going to see Duke and Faker splitting up to the top side and crash that wave in. Could just be a triple inhibitor going over to SK Telecom.
They could definitely look for the finish. I guess with Gragas ultimate down, it's a little bit more difficult. It's going to be up in about 10 seconds. Faker has Guardian Angel, so can be super aggressive under the enemy turrets, but with a grouped minion wave coming up, you make the percentage play, you rotate Duke over. Baron buff still has about 40% duration, and you just look to end the game.
Well, they have the wave here, and SKT is pitching up from below, throw out the True Shot Barrage, get a little bit of damage in onto Kuzan. Turret's getting whittled down slowly yet surely. Duke not able to find an opening to get in there, but the Super Creep's now pushing in onto the Nexus Towers. It's going to draw Jin Air back, and the turret falls down. Inhibitor to follow, and this is looking really grim for Jin Air, who might be losing this game before the 35-minute mark. Bengi goes in, finds Chei, no ultimate available, he goes down. No flash either. Pilot trying to just walk his way out, has to pop the Youmu's Ghostblade. The pillar interrupts him, he gets knocked up by the Tidal Wave. Hex Trigger gets popped, can they finalize the kill? They do. Bang with one last Mystic Shot, finds it. Faker gets knocked into the fountain, but it's still not enough to take him down. Uses that Seraph's Embrace shield. They will kill Bang in the end, but does not matter. Both Nexus turrets down. Nexus exposed. It's going to fall. 32.5 minutes. SKT with a 12-3 victory, tying us up, taking us to Game 3 here. And Jin Air just not able to collect themselves in this match.
Just in triumphant fashion, SKT dispatched Jin Air from the Rift on Game 2. Just 3 kills separated them from another perfect game. Would have been 2 in a week. Now that's a record I don't think has ever been done before, but not to be this particular game, but much more confident SKT. Played to their draft, didn't make any silly mistakes. This time Kuzan actually the one who got caught under the enemy turret to really open up what was a lot of mid-game snowball from SKT, and no one knows mid-game better than Pilot this game. Went for Youmu's Ghostblade, wanted to double down with a couple of Straight Dirk armor penetration items, but was so far behind his lane opponent that this Jhin wasn't even tickling. There was just a breath of air from the Jhin every fight, and SKT shrugged it off and shrugged off Jin Air.
Yeah, you can see right there, Pilot doing almost no damage. Meanwhile, Bang on the Ezreal, 28,000, beating the next best person, which was Faker, by almost 10K.
Casually did the same as the top 2 from the opposing teams. That lets you know that Bang had a day out. Was caught out on the Jhin. In fact, both Jhin games have gone pretty sideways.